People look at something like the North American epic and think that it's such a huge undertaking, it's impossible. If I can do this, anybody can do this.
There was so much land, there was so much variety, and that's what you see time and time again. And it takes your breath away.
I'm not longing to get to Panama City. I'm longing to see and experience as much as possible until the Panama City.
The continent seems smaller to me than I would have thought. My gosh, if you can ride from one end to the other on a bike, how big can it be? My name's Corinne.
My name is Nelson LaCharity.
My name is Anton.
And I'm riding
And I'm riding
the North
American epic.
The North it's a cumulative thing. I don't know why I find it so attractive. I've been thinking about it because clearly it keeps calling me back. A lot of it has to do with the remoteness, with the complete separation from what I consider to be, normal life, whatever that is. It's a very strong attraction for me, and I really don't know exactly why, but I follow it anyway. Starting out as far north as we did, that just captured my imagination, the idea of starting a bike ride at the Arctic Ocean, of all places, and riding south from there. And I loved being in the north. I loved the open space, the wide open space, and the slightly exotic nature because it's such a different climate, different kinds of vegetation, and the animals, the wildlife. That's one of the key things about these rides for me. I loved riding up the Dempster and the Yukon as well. It just is one of the most beautiful places in the world. The rhythm of a bicycle tour, which is highly repetitive, day after day after day. It seems like you're doing the same thing, but every day is completely different. You don't know what day it is anymore. You don't know what day of the month it is, or you generally know the year, and that's about it. When that kind of dissociation from the rest of the world happens and I'm on this bike tour and this is where I am and this is what I'm doing, that's magical. That's just an astonishing moment. But if it works really well, you don't realize it's happened. You're lost in it. While I love the exoticism, I love the separation from my daily life, the separation from my daily life on such a long-term basis can be difficult, psychologically, I guess. Little things that accumulate over time that tend to reset, largely with good weather or a rest day. People look at something like the North American epic and think that it's such a huge undertaking, it's impossible. But if I can do this, anybody can do this. Actually, this is not advice, this is a statement, you can do it.
Well, there was one day we woke up by a lake and you open your tent door and I just looked and went, this is just amazing. There was so much land, there was so much variety, the clouds were gorgeous, and that's what you see time and time again. And it takes your breath away. We transitioned from tundra to taiga, and then we got into the forest, and the forest has changed and grown and become more substantial. We've had some 150, 130, 120 kilometre days, and we've climbed a bit, and we've put up with some rain and some thunder. It's testing, but you do it. And you get up and you do it again, and you get up and you do it again. This is what I signed up for. I signed up to cycle, because that's what I want to do. The part of Canada that I was most looking forward to going through was coming down through Alberta and the Rockies and going to the Icefields Parkway towards the glacial scenery, which that area is so famous for. Hey, who wouldn't want to cycle through that lot? As we approached the Icefields Parkway, the weather was just starting to improve. It had rained for a few days. And as we're cycling up it, I'm trying to get every glimpse I can of the glaciers and of the mountains. And gradually the clouds lifted and we began to see what I was hoping for, which was the glaciers along the sides of the valleys and the beautiful lakes that fill the valley bottoms. And so that stretch was magic. There was something different to focus on. You were looking all the time for bears or moose or bison. After Banff, the weather improved and the sun came out, and that made such a difference to the landscape. One of my favourite parts was going towards Peter Lougheed and Waterton Lakes. Beautiful, beautiful scenery. They're etched on my memory.
You get an opportunity to travel and experience things in slow motion. And it's been quite different in the United States in terms of landscapes. Definitely interesting, and certainly the landscape's changing as we head south, and it's obviously getting a lot hotter. Some days I just want to cycle hard, and other days I quite enjoy stopping in at some of the towns, exploring the towns, and to chat to the locals in the local shop. And everyone's been really friendly, and it's all the small things that do make the trip unique. A big part of these trips is actually camping, and you tend to be in fairly basic campsites, but there have been some beautiful places that we've stayed, and I think sometimes keeping things basic means that you do appreciate the odd hotel when you get to a rest day, and to really appreciate what you have at home. Sometimes it's those places that make the trip special. We've passed through a couple of the big national parks, Glacier National Park, as well as Yellowstone National Park. So they've been fantastic experiences. I think these trips can be a great opportunity to broaden your horizons. You really do get to see, feel, taste, the heart of America. And we're looking forward to what's ahead in Grand Canyon and further down to Mexico.
For me, cycling is the best way to meet the people and to see the world. I like United States because it's a big country. I have met very friendly people and the nature is wonderful. There's a big difference between Montana and Utah or Arizona. Utah and Colorado, they're more rocky. Moab is a center of national parks, so I was thrilled going through that area. I enjoyed the arches. I enjoyed cycling in the canyon along the Colorado River, seeing all those rock formations, which are really unusual. I will keep this in my memory till the end of my life. The colors in desert are completely different than in the world where I'm coming from. Red, yellow, gray, brown. Just unbelievable. And it's really a privilege being here. You just enjoy the pure nature around you. I'm not longing to get to Panama City. I'm longing to see and experience as much as possible until the Panama City. And so you have to be very patient. My priority is simply enjoy every single moment on the tour. The path is my goal.
Mexico is a whole different animal. It's beautiful, it's diverse, the people are amazing, the culture is incredible, the architecture is amazing, the food is incredible, and we've only gotten to see a very small part of it. For someone who's got nothing but experience with the first world, Mexico's really cool. Definitely worth exploring. We've been to a lot of areas that they're not used to seeing cyclists around. I get a lot of expressions from people as though I've just fallen out of a spaceship, but they're still really nice. Some of the bigger tourist areas I don't care for, but some of the smaller towns, amazing. First of all, the people in Mexico are phenomenal. And second of all, most of these places seem to have a really tight-knit community. There are some towns I wish I could stay there for 3 weeks or a month. But this trip is it's kind of like a sampler plate. You get a little bit of each. Riding in Mexico is, a lot of times you have to treat it more like an obstacle course and less like a ride because the road, it's not paved as you would think of pavement. There's bricks, there's cobblestones, there's broken up concrete, there's dirt, there's rocks, there's stray dogs, there's goats, there's burros walking down the street. Just kind of take every day as it comes, because you never really know what's going to happen next. There was a fair amount of climbing. You'd expect it to be flat, but it's actually pretty hilly. Not any huge climbs, but a lot of rollers up and down, and in the heat and humidity, that's really tough. I found a couple of times during the tour, I've actually gotten mentally fatigued more than physically fatigued. So if you are in a hurry, you're not going to enjoy yourself. But if you take it all in stride and enjoy the sights and the sounds, then it's going to be pretty interesting. The continent seems smaller to me than I would have thought. My gosh, if you can ride from one end to the other on a bike, how big can it be? But Mexico is just absolutely incredible. I'm not sure there's any place else like that in the world.
In a way, the bike ride's kind of like a movie. You see everything in motion as you bike. You see it, you hear it, you smell it. So I feel like I'm doing a fresh stride through country I really have never seen before. And just getting the sense of this part of the world. You know, when you're doing one of these trips, you see a stripe of a country or of many countries, right? But I love the variety of countryside you get, you know, as you just go from region to region. And you have enough time in each place. You don't sort of zoom through in an hour, right? You zoom through in a day, and you see everything on a bike, right? You don't miss much. You know, you get here and you have to get used to the temperature and your timing in the morning and the riding conditions and everything, and then you're in the pattern, and the rest days kind of break that pattern a little bit. You do something different for a day. And then jump right back in again. We went through a good chunk of Mexico. We were in Mexico for quite a while. Then we hit the Guatemalan border. Some serious riding in there in quite hilly country. And I find that's some of the most interesting part of Central America is the hill country, because the people are much more traditional and so on. And where we got into El Salvador, you know, along the coastline here, it's quite different. And rode along mostly coastal part of El Salvador. Then we went by motorboat to a little island that belongs to Honduras and rode around the island, and then took a motor launch that took us to Nicaragua. And we've been riding pretty much coastal or in lowland Nicaragua. And then to Costa Rica, right? And stay on the west coast of Costa Rica. And then work our way down to Panama.